We do know that women are filing the majority
Yep.
of divorces, but the ultimate underlying reason really isn't known. But do you think this is why? It's just they get bored. I was happy for a bit, now I'm not
Yeah.
anymore, and it's this cycle. Is that kind of
Yeah.
your perspective?
Yeah. That we were never happy within ourselves because weren't taught that. We maybe pretended or thought we were, but it's a fleeting feeling. How I define happiness, not an emotion, not a fleeting experience. It's much more tied and linked to purpose, meaning, and fulfillment within ourselves, a contentment, which we don't have as women. And the other part of us is that in one of our woman ways, being very selfish, being very entitled, that once we feel that our husbands are the ones making us unhappy or they're not making us feel loved and cared for like they once did, and we create them to be the problem, that the underlying reason of why we leave a marriage and why more women initiate divorce is really born from our selfishness and entitlement to find what we think will make us happy. So it's an entitlement without consideration of our children, without consideration of our husbands, without consideration of our vows or the commitment we made, that we feel much more entitled to leave and find someone who's going to give us those romantic feelings and feelings of love until they don't anymore. And then we'll find ourselves unhappy again. We leave our marriages very much from an emotional, irrational place that has no basis in reality. I saw a story this week. I was kind of not really blown away because these things don't shock me as much anymore. I'm like, oh, yep, there we go. There it is. This is
There it is.
universal. But I saw a story this week about a woman from Australia that wrote a book on like when your soulmate says no, and the whole basis of the book is that she was at a dinner party and was with her husband and met this man that she was sure he was her soulmate, never met him more than that night at dinner, divorced her husband to chase who she thought was her soulmate, and he didn't give her the time of day. So we leave for very irrational, emotional reasons that are again born from our sense of entitlement to find what we think is going to make us happy that never ever will, because what's missing is ourselves and our happiness within us. And no one and no man, no matter who he is ever going to be able to fill that.